guys, and welcome back to my channel, Miss Bennett Maths. In today's video, we're going to be looking at area of triangles. It would be a good idea for you to get some paper and make some notes on this, as there are a few questions for you to have a go at during the video. If you haven't done any work on area so far, you should take a look at my previous video on area of rectangles. This takes you through the basic steps and what area is. Step 1 for area of triangles is to realise that a triangle is part of a rectangle. So I'm making this triangle into a rectangle where my base is 4 centimetres and my height is 2 centimetres. And this measurement here is not useful in this question because it doesn't help me to work out any area. Once I've got my rectangle, I can work out the area of it. Area equals base multiplied by height. So the base is 4 centimetres, the height is 2 centimetres, which is giving me 8 centimetres squared. We can now relate this back to a triangle. If I take a rectangle and I cut it in half, which is the same as dividing by 2, I get a triangle. So the area of my rectangle is 8 centimetres squared. I'm going to half that, which is giving me 4 centimetres squared. So my final answer for the area of a triangle is 4 centimetres squared. On to the next question. This triangle is slightly different, but the steps are exactly the same. So make a rectangle. Once you've got your rectangle, write down the base and the height. All the measurements are in the same units, and this measurement here is no use for this question. Step 2. Multiply the base and the height together. 6 centimetres multiplied by 3.5 centimetres. Plenty of methods to do this. I'm going to show you the way I do it. I'm going to do 6 centimetres multiplied by 35 centimetres. I can see that I've multiplied this number by 10. So when I get the answer to this, I'm going to divide this answer by 10. So 6 multiplied by 35. 6 times by 3 is 18. That means 6 multiplied by 30 must be 180. 6 multiplied by 5 is 30. Add these two numbers together. I get 210 centimetres squared. Don't forget, you need to divide this answer by 10 because you multiplied this number here by 10. So my final answer is 21.0 centimetres squared. Step 3, to get from this rectangle that I've drawn back to this yellow triangle, well, you can see this yellow shape here is the same area as this blank area over here. So if I take the rectangle and I half it, I'm going to get the yellow area here. 21 centimetres squared divided by 2 is going to give me 10.5 centimetres squared. And for my final question, slightly harder, this is looking at working backwards. So the question has given you the area. So the question has given you the area of the triangle. It's also given you the base and no height, but it has given you the slanted height. Now it's really important when you're doing area of a triangle that the base and the height are perpendicular to each other. This means they are meeting at a right angle. Step 1, exactly the same. Make the shape into a rectangle. Write down the measurements that you know. Step 2 is to find out the area of the rectangle. Well, if I've got the triangle and I multiply this by 2, this will give me a rectangle. 2 of these green sections together will give me this section and these 2 sections as well, making the full rectangle. The area of the triangle is 15 centimetres squared. Multiply that by 2 will give me 30 centimetres squared. I know now that the rectangle is 30 centimetres squared. So using the knowledge from the area of rectangles video, I know that base times by height gives me the area of a rectangle or a square. So the base times the height is going to give me 30 centimetres squared. Well, from the beginning, I know the base, it's 6. So 6 centimetres multiplied by the height is 30 centimetres squared. So if I divide 30 by 6, I'll get the height. 30 centimetres squared divided by 6 centimetres gives me 5 centimetres is your final answer. This is the height of the triangle. Here are some questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're done, press play and check your answers. For the first questions on the top row, they're all fairly straightforward, following what I've just gone through. The bottom 3 questions, you're just trying to work out these shaded areas. So for the first one, you've got 3 multiplied by 4 divided by 2, which gives you 6. The second one, it gives you the height in metres and the base in centimetres. So I'm going to change the height to centimetres. So I've got 24 times by 1,000, which is 24,000. Half of that is 12,000 centimetres squared. For the next question, 5 multiplied by 12, which is the base and the height, is 60, and half of that is 30 centimetres squared. The yellow one, the base and the height, remember they have to be perpendicular to each other, which is 6 multiplied by 8 is 48, and half of 48 is 24 millimetres squared. The next one is giving you the area. The area of the triangle, so the base times the height, must be 100. Well, if the triangle is 100, then that means that the rectangle must be 200. So then I need to think of numbers which will give me 200. So 25 multiplied by what gives me 200? 25 centimetres multiplied by 8 centimetres will give me 200 centimetres squared. But don't forget, the answer is in metres. So I need to be changing my 8 centimetres into metres, giving me 0.08 metres. The base multiplied by the height for the big rectangle is 5 along the bottom and 10 up the side. So 5 multiplied by 10 and divided by 2. That gives us 25. And for the smaller triangle, the base is 2, the height is 4. 2 multiplied by 4 divided by 2 will give us 4 centimetres squared. And then I'm subtracting the smaller triangle from the bigger triangle just to leave me with the shaded area. 25 subtract 4 leaves us with 21 centimetres squared. The height is 8, the base is 16. 16 multiplied by 8 divided by 2 gives us 64 centimetres squared. For the smaller triangle, 6 multiplied by 3 divided by 2 will give us 9 centimetres squared. Subtract the 2 from each other to leave us with the turquoise section. 64 subtract 9 equals 55 centimetres squared. For the final question, this is the base and the height, which are perpendicular to each other. 22 multiplied by 22 and half that. 22 multiplied by 22 is 484. Divide that by 2 is 242 centimetres squared. The smaller triangle, the base is 10 and the height is 11. 10 multiplied by 11 and divided by 2 gives us 55 centimetres squared. Subtract one from the other to leave us with the blue area. 242 subtract 55 leaves us with 187 centimetres squared. This is an exam style question, worth 4 marks. Let's read the question. Below is a diagram of a right-angled triangle and a square. The area of the square is twice the area of the triangle. Calculate the length of each side of the square. Okay, so it wants to know what this measurement is. And remember, because it's a square, all the sides are the same length. So either one of those sides will do. Okay, so this is the important part. The fact that we've got a square and that the square is twice the area of the triangle. So if we first of all work out the area of the triangle, then we double it. That's going to give us the square. And then from that, we can work out one of the sides of the square. So the area of the triangle is base multiplied by height divided by 2. The base of the triangle is 16. The height is 4. And then we're going to divide this by 2. 16 multiplied by 4 is 64. And half of 64 is 32 centimetres squared. That's for the triangle. 32 centimetres squared multiplied by 2 gives us 64 centimetres squared for the area of the square. Okay, so now I know that the base times the height, so two numbers that multiply together, the same two numbers because it's a square, to give us 64. Well, that means something squared is 64. So we need to do the square root of it. The square root of 64 equals 8. One of the sides of the square is 8. That's all for today's video. If you have any questions about this video, make sure to comment below. Like and subscribe if this video has been helpful to stay tuned for more maths videos in the future. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!